Hey everyone and welcome. If you're a legal professional working on the global stage, you know English is way more than just a language, right? It's a precision instrument. So in this explainer, we're going to build your essential toolkit. We'll help you sharpen those skills and really master the language that underpins so much of international law. Let's get started.
Now, I want you to think about this for a second. It might sound a little dramatic, but believe me, it's true. The stakes in legal English, they are incredibly high. I mean, just one misplaced word, one term that seems innocent but is used incorrectly, and a whole agreement can just fall apart. We're not talking about style points here. This is all about structure, obligation, and whether something is even enforceable. So yeah, getting this vocabulary right isn't just helpful, it's absolutely critical.
Okay, so let's get into the blueprint and really understand why this stuff is so different. You know, a lot of people think legal English is just, well, a more formal, stuffy version of everyday English. But that's not it at all. A much better way to think of it is like a highly specialized tool, one that's designed for one single purpose: precision.
Here's a good way to picture it. A novelist, right? They might use 10 different words for walk, strolled, sauntered, marched, just to make a story more colorful. But a lawyer, a legal professional, they use the exact same word every single time. Why? To completely eliminate any chance of confusion. In a binding document, every single word has a critical job to do. Ambiguity is the absolute enemy, and precision, well, that's your shield.
So let's open up that toolkit and look at the most fundamental tools inside, the words that create duties and grant permissions. These words are literally the engines that make any legal document run. First up, we have the heavyweight champion of legal obligation, shall. When you see the word shall in a contract, it is not a suggestion, it's a command. For instance, the tenant shall pay the rent on the first of the month. This means the tenant has an absolute, non-negotiable duty to pay. There's zero room for interpretation there. And on the flip side, we have may. Think of may as opening a door. It doesn't force you to walk through it. It gives permission or discretion. So if a document says, the board may appoint a successor, what does that mean? It means the board has the option, the choice to do it. They're allowed to, but they don't have to.
So here it is, side by side. This is the crucial distinction you have to get right. Shall is a must-do. It creates a legal obligation, plain and simple. May is allowed to do. It just grants permission. You can see how mixing these two up could change a requirement into an option, a mistake with potentially massive consequences.
All right, let's move on to another really critical area. In the legal world, sometimes you have to unlearn what you think you know. A bunch of everyday words you use all the time, they take on a completely new, super specific meaning inside a courtroom or a contract. Let's just look at a few of these. You might think consideration is about being thoughtful. Nope. In contract law, it's the bedrock of the agreement. It's the thing of value, whether it's money or a service that each side exchanges. And without it, guess what? You don't have a valid contract. Damages aren't just about something getting broken, it's the monetary compensation you can claim. A party isn't a celebration with cake. It's a person or a company involved in the deal. And service isn't about helping a customer. It's the formal, official delivery of legal documents. See the difference?
Now, the language we use doesn't just exist in a vacuum, right? It runs on what you could call an operating system. And in the legal world, there are two main ones: common law and civil law. Knowing which system you're working in is absolutely essential.
Okay, so on one hand, you have common law systems like what you find in the US and the UK. These are built on judicial precedent, or what we call case law. Basically, judges look at how past cases were decided to guide their current rulings. They can even create new law. But then you have civil law systems like in Spain or the Dominican Republic. These are based on detailed, written-down laws called codified statutes, the official civil code. A judge's main job there is to apply the law that's already on the books. This next one is for anyone learning legal English, but it's especially important if your first language is Spanish. We've got to talk about a really specific danger region: false friends. These are words that look almost the same in both languages, but have dangerously different meanings. Let's break down some of the most common traps here. In Spanish, actual means current, but in English, actual means real or fact-based. Asistir means to attend something, while in English, assist means to help. A demanda in Spanish is a full-on lawsuit, but an English demand is just a very strong request. Now, this last one, pay close attention because this is a big one. In Spanish, sentencia is the final decision in any court case, civil or criminal. But in English, a sentence is only the punishment given in a criminal case. The decision in a civil case is called a judgment or a ruling. Using sentence for a civil case is a huge mistake.
Okay, so we've looked at the tools, the specific terms, and the different operating systems. So how about we put it all together and see how this works in a practical, real-world situation?
So imagine you're advising a client from the US who wants to do business in the Dominican Republic. You could say something just like this. See how clean that is? You've clearly identified the legal system, its civil law, and explained where its laws come from. Codified statutes, not precedent. In just one sentence, you've used precise terminology to give clear, expert advice. That's the goal.
All right, as we wrap things up, let's just run through a quick mental checklist of the big takeaways. First, have you locked in that huge difference between the command of shall and the permission of may? Second, do you remember that legal consideration is all about an exchange of value? Third, can you recall that common law is built on precedent? And finally, this is a crucial one. Will you remember to use judgment for civil cases and save sentence only for criminal ones?
Look, mastering legal English is a journey. It's an ongoing process. But every single step you take makes you a more effective, more valuable legal professional. So I'll leave you with this final question. What's the one concept or term we talked about today that you're going to focus on using with more precision, starting tomorrow? Thanks so much for joining us.